Hi everyone, and thank you for watching. So in this video, I'm going to talk about remote viewing and what you can learn about consciousness and reality in regards to remote viewing. Remote viewing is a psychic ability or a psychic practice, and I'm not here to convince you that it's real or convince you that everyone can do it. I'm just going to talk about it, and in talking about the whole process of it and how it works, there's a lot to learn, and there's a lot of insight that you can gain about a lot of different things beyond that. Okay, so in order to compare remote viewing to other states of consciousness, I think we should start defining things, and let's define waking reality first. Waking reality, in a nutshell, is basically pure consciousness that's constrained by a sensory experience that is provided by the bodies that we are in. And we're also observing other people having these same sensory experiences and other creatures having these same sensory experiences. And we are analyzing this whole thing, which is further distorting the information that it brings to us, to our pure consciousness. So that's reality, or waking consciousness in a nutshell. So now let's talk about dream consciousness, because that's the other 8 hours of the 24 hours that we are supposedly conscious. So in dream consciousness, what's different between dream consciousness and waking reality? Well, the biggest difference is that in dream consciousness, there's no body that is like a mediator between consciousness and the sensory experience that we're having. So there's no mediator. So you're in a raw environment, and you're dealing with things purely on their own terms. And it comes off as a very chaotic and non-systematic area or place that you're living in that dream world. And also the mind itself is dreaming up things within that environment, which further distorts things and makes things just kind of unpredictable. So one of the biggest differences between this environment and that other environment is an actual body. And now let's talk about remote viewing. So with remote viewing, I guess we could basically say that it's another state of consciousness, because you are changing your mental state in order to access information. And with remote viewing, if you don't know what it is, it's a psychic practice where you locate something that's not in the immediate environment that you're in, or either it's non-local to where you are. So with remote viewing, how do you do it? What's the process? Because I think the process is what's most interesting about it and what's most insightful about it. So with remote viewing, you're basically trying to turn down or shut down your sensory experience and your analytical experience, your thought processes, because these get in the way of you accessing higher information. So that's the biggest thing with that. And if you let your mind participate, it ruins the signal and it distorts what you see. So you don't see what you're trying to see. And if you let the sensory experience get in the way, then it also distorts the information that you get. So with remote viewing, you're trying to turn those things down or remove those things altogether. And in order to find what you're looking for with remote viewing, you have to have an anchor, something that anchors you to a certain point, because we're talking an infinite landscape. And when you're searching an infinite landscape, you need an anchor, or you could be looking anywhere. So that's the idea with the remote viewing. And have you seen any parallels or realized any parallels while I've been talking about all of this? What do certain mind states have in common? Remember, the waking reality is the only one that actually has a body. And the dream reality, there is no body. And with remote viewing, you're trying to remove the body or turn the body off. So that's all I have to say about that. Switching gears a little bit. Around 70 years ago, and this is part of my motivation of making this video and me learning things through making this video. About 70 years ago, there was a Cold War among the major world powers. And specifically, I'm talking about Russia and the United States. That whole situation, it was very tense and competitive. There was this huge standoff, and the countries were trying to get an edge on one another. And in order to get an edge on one another, spying became a big thing. Now, you can physically spy on someone, but that's very dangerous. So what they attempted to do, well, particularly the United States, I can't really speak on Russia because I'm not schooled on that well. But what they basically did, they hired a lot of remote viewers, or they got a lot of remote viewers, and they trained them, and they let them practice the remote viewing, and they let them fine-tune their abilities in remote viewing. So they checked to see if things worked or didn't work, and they took notes, and they fed the information back to the remote viewers so that they could become better. And these programs went on for a very long time, and they didn't produce any information. We didn't learn anything about it. Or if the governments did learn, they didn't share it with us. And this went on for a very, very long time. And keep in mind, when something's classified, with regard to the United States, usually after 20 years they declassify it, or they put the information out to the public so that they can kind of get the crumbs and gain or learn from what the government had participated in or created or was learning about. But in this case, it's no one knows anything about it. It's kind of just a big, huge secret that everyone just kind of forgot about. But the other thing that happened around 50, 60 years ago, major situation with the government, and it was a big conspiracy, was MKULTRA situation, where basically the government, they funded a program where people were given drugs willingly and unwillingly to get information out of them. And so basically they were trying to get information from spies and people that knew things that could help military operations. But what they also did with that, they tried to learn about psychic abilities by turning off certain parts of the body, certain parts of the mental processes, in order to make people that are clairvoyant more sensitive to that type of information. And when I learned that, it kind of just hit me. It made me think about what I just mentioned earlier about trying to turn the body off in order to have access to all of this all of this infinite information. So I'm not going to go further on that. I just wanted to throw those things out there, and if you connected some of those dots, let me know. Anyways, thank you. I love and appreciate you. You all have a great one out there, and I'll see you next time. Bye.